And finally, for today's episode, let's turn to David Trim for a look at Adventist history.
This week, the first General Conference session was held just outside of Battle Creek in the U.S. state of Michigan.
Welcome to This Week in Seventh-day Adventist History. Throughout most of this week, 144 years ago, September 19 to 24, 1876, the 16 delegates to the 15th General Conference session were meeting in Lansing, Michigan. This was the first General Conference session to be held outside Battle Creek. The statistical report given on the first day of the session reported 10,044 church members in 398 local churches, in 15 conferences in the United States, plus the Swiss mission in Europe. It was the first time that total membership passed 10,000. Also throughout this week, but 124 years ago in 1896, the Kansas Conference camp meeting was held at Council Grove. As the Review and Herald reported, many of the people came long distances with teams and covered wagons, yet nearly 1,000 were present on the last Sabbath of the meeting. Pioneer Adventists regularly had to travel vast distances to meet with fellow believers, but they were willing to sacrifice to practice their faith. Finally, September 20 in 1943 seemed like a disaster for the Seventh-day Adventist Church in Japan, which then had some 1,300 members. In that one day, the Japanese government imprisoned 36 church leaders and ordered that church buildings, the publishing house, the school, and the hospital were all to be sold. But church members in Japan remained faithful in the face of fierce persecution, and there was to be a renaissance. Missionaries returned remarkably quickly. Edward Kraft, who had served in Japan from 1920 to 1936, arrived in September 1945, the same month the war ended. He was quickly followed by Andrew Nelson, who had also served in Japan pre-war and whose PhD dissertation was on Japanese literature, and by Francis Millard, who both arrived in October 1945. Millard became the first post-war president of the Japan Union Mission. Today, in the Japan Union Conference, there are some 15,000 church members. That was This Week in Adventist History.